In the tradition of the Andrew Ollie Lecture, the Gough Whitlam Oration, and the Mark Latham Demented Rant,
If you don't like it, you can off.
comes the most prestigious public talk event of the year, the 16th Inaugural Chaser Lecture, the most inaugural lecture yet. Pope Francis declared,
En las familias, los hijos traen dolores de cabeza.
Malcolm Turnbull hailed it as almost worthy of my attendance. So in 2015, which world dignitary has the honour of giving the Chaser Lecture? Donald Trump said no. Tony Abbott said
Nope.
Justice Dyson Hayden said yes and then no. So who did we get?
He is a heart surgeon who also hosts a satirical news program in Egypt called Al Barnameh.
Bassem Youssef, the Chaser Lecture. Because speech should be free, but black tie dinners should not.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what I am absolutely certain is going to be the best Chaser Lecture ever. Because, let's be honest, it's actually the first. And we would like to, of course, thank the many sponsors and partners who have made tonight's event possible. Starting, of course, with the Australian Taxation Office. If they were in any way competent, we would not be able to stage this event. Have a look at their logo, ladies and gentlemen. Even the logo has loopholes in it. Amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the 16th Inaugural Chaser Lecture will be presented by Bassem Youssef. Bassem is from Egypt, and I'm sure you've all heard him described as the Akmal of Egypt. I think that's the phrase. In 2013, Bassem received a very prestigious award, but one that no one in their right mind actually aspires to winning, the International Press Freedom Award. The award is bestowed by the Committee to Protect Journalists. And I'm very pleased to say that the 2015 winner of that award is the Malaysian cartoonist Zuna. Zuna has famously said, "How can I be neutral? Even my pen has a stand." His satirical cartoons have been fiercely critical of the Malaysian government, so much so that he is now facing sedition charges. I think it's 9 sedition charges that carry a maximum sentence of 43 years in prison. The Freedom of Expression charity that we've partnered with for this event, Article 19, is supporting Zuna, and I am thrilled to say that he is here this evening, ladies and gentlemen. So please welcome to the stage Zuna. Zuna, it's a great pleasure to have you here, and I'm sure you're happy to be here because Zuna's sedition trial actually began, was it 3 days ago?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, how's that going, by the way?
It was postponed. It was postponed because I filed a challenge, a suit to challenge the law. So the court has to deal with my challenge first before they can proceed with the trial.
Good tactic, I like it. Now, it's certainly the case that this instance of the sedition charge is not the only time that you've been the subject of sanctions by the government of Malaysia. They're pretty well on your case all the time, aren't they? What do they do to you?
Yeah, the government banned 7 of my books before, cartoon books like this, because on the ground that the content are detrimental to public order and can influence the reader to revolt against the government by reading my cartoon books. And the police also raided the printers who print my books, and they are given a very strong warning that the whole business license will be revoked if they keep printing my book in the future. Now I need to blacken the name of the printers here in order to protect them. And I put a very small note to the police. If the police want to know who the printer is, they have to enter this scratch and win scheme. so themselves.
Zuna is actually going to do a cartoon of Bassem while he gives the Chaser Lecture. You've got an easel over there, and that will be an original work of art, surely, the only time ever that there's been a work of art produced of a winner of the International Press Freedom Award by a winner of the International Press Freedom Award. That's got to be a first, doesn't it? So, ladies and gentlemen, please thank Zuna. He's going to take up his position now. All the best. But now, some music, ladies and gentlemen, and we are thrilled to have our next performers here. His name's Youssef Tuadros, but tonight, I don't think he's ever been called this before, but we regard him as the John Stewart of the oud, ladies and gentlemen. He is Australia's leading and world-respected oud player, and Youssef will be performing tonight with his brother James on percussion. Please make them welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having us. It's a great pleasure to be performing at this event. It's pretty exciting for us. We've actually been very busy. We've been touring with an Arabic country singer quite recently. I don't know if you know Salim Dusty. Gosh, I've been using that joke for 10 years. I mean, that's... but no, it's really great. These instruments are actually from the Middle East, and they do play them in Egypt. This is the oud, and this is the re, the Egyptian tambourine. It's always kind of a bit weird because I have an Australian accent, so people don't kind of, they don't think we're authentic, So if I came out and I said, "Hello, tonight we will play for you some Egyptian oud," everyone would be going, "Wow, that's incredible." But we're going to do the Aussie. I'm just going to play some oud for you. So here we go. This piece I'm going to play is a piece called "Permission to Evaporate." Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to play one more piece for you, a piece of mine called Forbidden Fruit. I actually really like these chairs. Really reminds me of my auntie's house in Egypt, but I know they're from Australia because they don't have the plastic on them. So Australia, yeah. You'll know when you visit an Egyptian one day. So here is a piece called Forbidden Fruit.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joe and James Tawadros, ladies and gentlemen, aren't they fantastic? And we will now have a short break in proceedings and we'll resume shortly with even more formalities for the 16th Inaugural Chaser Lecture. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris Taylor. I am here in my duty tonight to officially introduce the person who will then in turn officially introduce our very special guest lecturer. So let me simply introduce a person who needs no introduction because I don't know who they are to give them one. Would you please welcome TBC?
Thank you. Now, just before we get to the introduction, I'd just like to thank Chris for such a wonderful introduction to the introduction. Yep. I think we can all agree that as far as introductions go, that was an introduction befitting the quality of the introduction it was introducing. So let's put our hands together again for it. Yes, and thank you too to the audience for such a warm round of applause for the introduction to the introduction. Please give yourself a warm round of applause, yeah, for such a great round of applause. So again, thank you, Chris. It was a real honour to be able to thank you. And so please, let's put our hands together for such a wonderful thank you to the introduction to the introduction. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Professor Sir Andrew Hansen, and I'm the Senior Research Techniques Analyst and Human Capital Investment Fellow at the International Trans-Global Columbia Multimedia Institute of Fund and Portfolio Managerial Management and Managers Association University College Organisation. It's my, thank you, round of applause for me. It's my great honour to extend a very warm brown nosing to our VIP guests in the audience this evening. I'll welcome each of them by name, so if you didn't make the list, it'll be abundantly clear. Naturally, none of our VIPs this evening are in the povo seats, so you people are free to tune out. You might want to play Candy Crush Soda Saga or whatever it is that poor people do. We are delighted to be joined this evening by, in ascending order of importance, the Lord Mayor of Sydney, Clover Moore. Thank you. She's here. Hello, madam. No need to applaud each one. They get more important as I go, so you can probably increase the emotion as we go on. The Premier of New South Wales, Mike Baird. We have Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull over there. The British Prime Minister David Cameron. Hello, sir. The President of the United States, Barack Obama, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Ban Ki-moon, God, who in his great humility bought one of the povo seats, actually. Hello, God, that was very good. And greatest of all, at least in his own estimation, the Deputy Mayor of Auburn. Yeah, well done, yes, fantastic, wonderful. Oh, I'm just so honoured he's here. And finally, over there at table 7, we are delighted to have the winner of this year's Melbourne Cup, who struck such a powerful victory for feminism. A round of applause, I please, for the Prince of Penzance, ladies and gentlemen. There, I hope you are enjoying your champagne and hay, sir. Well, that's all from me, and now I would like to introduce someone who we are deeply honoured to have speak here this evening. She comes from Australia's greatest and most influential philanthropic family, the Norton Lodges. Zoe Norton Lodge is here with a special announcement about a new endowment which will benefit so many of us here in this room tonight. Please welcome Zoe Norton-Lodge.
Good evening, everyone. I am sure that you are all familiar with the work of my family, the Norton Lodges. The Norton Lodges were instrumental both in causing and benefiting from the Great Depression, arranging the Japanese attack on Darwin, financing the Big Banana, and in adding nicotine to cigarettes, and then later to milk. Now, for some of us richos, which is the preferred term, it is important to give something back. I am so proud to unveil tonight my newest venture, the Norton Lodge Foundation for Aging White Male Comedians who are hemorrhaging relevance. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really, thank you. Now, what better place to unveil this new charity than at this, the Chaser Lecture, our nation's greatest embodiment of this destitute situation? Just the very fact that they had to fly somebody over from Egypt to leech some of his relevance really demonstrates how close to total obscurity they really are. I know, it's terribly sad. Now, the thing is, in this age of feminism and diversity, it is quite apparent how largely pointless a great number of comedians suddenly are. But we mustn't judge them too harshly. The Chaser, for example, come from the 90s, which was a quaint era when women didn't exist and verbally assaulting receptionists and bothering backbenchers whilst dressed up like a chicken was considered deeply satirical. I know it's very hard to imagine, but it really wasn't so very long ago. Now, it's easy to judge, but think of all the things these boys had to struggle against to get where they are today, right? Think of poor little Julian Francis Xavier Montague Mountbottom Snufflebottom Morrow. The maths department at his school was so under-resourced and squalid that it produced Joe Hockey. Tragic. And this problem is widespread throughout our generation. There is a glut of dejected, middle-aged white man comedians who are currently walking around all flummoxed and heartsick. Why doesn't anybody like my pedo jokes anymore? Why is my Chinaman impression falling flat? They just don't understand. And as the networks begin to close their doors, are we just going to let them walk around puzzled and despairing for the rest of their days? Not on my watch. No, the Norton Lodge Foundation for Aging White Comedians who are hemorrhaging relevance is going to build a sort of gated community for these ancient sadness jokesters to live out the rest of their days in peace, yes? Because my friends, ask yourself this, yes? If a chaser man tells a Tony Abbott budgie smuggler joke in the woods and nobody's there to hear it, is it still a waste of taxpayers' money? Now the answer is yes, it definitely is. But at least the rest of us won't have to be quite so embarrassed. Anyway, that's my foundation's plan. Either that or we can just shoot them all. I don't know, maybe that would be kinder. I'm not really sure. I'm open to ideas. Thank you so much.
Look, it is truly amazing to have Dr. Bassem Youssef here with us this evening. I really never thought he'd get past Border Force. It's a great shame. Such holes. Look, he's a satirist and comedian of global stature, and just on a minor administrative note as well, due to budgetary constraints, he's also the designated first aid officer here tonight. So, speaking on behalf of the Chaser, we can't think of anyone better to deliver the 16th Inaugural Chaser Lecture than the Jon Stewart of the Middle East. Here is why he's pretty darn good.
In early 2011, mass protests in Tahrir Square, Cairo, toppled the dictator who'd ruled Egypt for 30 years. Then in March, another unprecedented event. An Egyptian doctor entered his own laundry, and instead of doing the washing, created the B+ Show. A satirical program about Egyptian politics modelled on The Daily Show. Before the B+ Show, Bassem Youssef's desire to imitate another American TV show he loved accidentally led to a successful career as a heart surgeon. Thank God he never watched Breaking Bad. But the B+ Show changed everything.
In less than 2 months, and with only 7 videos, our channel made 5 million views.
A YouTube sensation, Bassem Youssef fast became known as the Charlie Bit My Finger of the Middle East. But not content to remain an internet phenomenon, Bassem created Al Bernameg, or The Show, the first program in the Middle East to move from YouTube to national television.
البرنامج مع باسم يوسف.
And after just 1 season, we were one of the most watched shows in Egypt.
But they were also watched by the security forces and Muslim Brotherhood loyalists of President Morsi. Al Bernameg was even noticed by an obscure cable television host overseas.
I am the Bassem Youssef of America.
The popularity of Bassem's show soared when he took over a Cairo theatre, finally ending a production of Phantom of the Opera that had lasted longer than the Mubarak regime.
Every week, an estimated 30 million people tune in. Egyptians have never seen anything like this before.
But the show faced constant lawsuits, threats, and intimidation.
He was formally accused of insulting the president and insulting Islam.
Critics accused Youssef of having too big a head. A copyright dispute with The Daily Show was only resolved after Bassem kidnapped Stewart and Comedy Central dropped the case to get their host back. International praise continued. Named in Time's list of the most influential people in the world, Bassem became one of only 100 people to actually buy a copy of Time magazine. The pressure on Al Bernameg only increased after the military ousted the Muslim Brotherhood. Despite that, Bassem's show went on.
And made fun of the new regime and their funny hats.
But not for long.
Suspension of the popular and controversial program was announced just minutes before it was due to go on the air.
In its 3rd season, Al Bernameg only lasted 11 episodes before it was forced off air.
واحنا بنعتبر ان وقف البرنامج في حد ذاته رسالة أقوى وأوضح وأعلى بكتير جدا من استمراره ومن أي حاجة كانت هتتقال في البرنامج. من الآخر الرسالة وصلت.
Since then, sadly, Al Bernameg, the show, has not gone back on. But its team and its spirit have, and so has its host.
My name is Bassem Youssef, and I'm your host for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I have never been introduced so many times in one night. I feel violated. I mean, to be introduced by like 7 Australians, I mean, that's like the total opposite feeling you get when you get your visa in Australia. It's just like, it's very welcoming. I mean, you call it force border? Well, border force? How intimidating. Anyway, so this is such an honor. I mean, to be included in the list of people who have given the Chaser Lecture, that makes me feel so very lonely. I mean, the list of great names that stood in this spot before me, 15 international celebrities hosted this event before me. And yet, if you Google them, you will not find a single one because this whole Chaser thing is a scam. Speaking of a scam, being a Middle Eastern, that makes me feel quite at home. Thank you. I would like to thank the chaser for misleading me so much that I agreed to give this address. Now I'm stuck, like saying yes to something that you soon regret and want to get out of, like kind of what you feel here in Australia with all your prime ministers. So, but let's look at the bright side. I mean, to bring a Middle Eastern to take this podium could be viewed as a great message of diversity. Or you might have run out of money and I come cheap. For the chaser, this is the first time they have been associated with someone of Middle Eastern appearance who wasn't Chaz dressed as Osama bin Laden. That's real progress, guy. That's real progress, yes. I mean, I know I was up against some tough competition. They were thinking of bringing someone else. It was either me or the Pope. I mean, how can you top that? So I thought of something. If the Pope would have come here, would have granted you all salvation and send you straight to heaven. Since I cannot do that, I will just do what a stereotypical Muslim would do, call you all infidels, curse you, and send you straight to hell. So now I'm here speaking in Sydney Town Hall. I mean, if I had known that someday a young boy from Egypt to stand in the Sydney Town Hall stage where Lady Gaga once performed, I probably would have stayed in medicine. So it's lovely being here. And just as a disclaimer, I wanted to tell you that I come from a region where things might sound depressing. The Middle East is a little bit like Middle Earth, but with fewer hobbits and far more Dark Lords. I know that whatever you hear from our part of the world might not be in any way positive. You know, all the killings, the sufferings, the horror, the failures, the incompetence. But I'm here today to tell you that everything that you hear about us, it's true. We're pretty messed up. It's like, we're kind of like, we're beyond fucked, so it's like. But to be fair, I live now in Dubai. Dubai is a different city altogether. It's a sort of mashup between Las Vegas and Disneyland. It has the illusion of happiness you find in Disney, together with the crippling betting debt of Vegas. Everyone seems to be very rich except me. I mean, I feel so lonely. I mean, in my apartment building, there are 50 cars, 49 of them are Rolls Royces. And the one fucking Ford Explorer, that's me. But United Arab Emirates is not your typical Middle Eastern country. To qualify as a real Middle Eastern country, you need to be stuck in either a revolution or traffic. I'm from Egypt, we qualify for both. Yes, thank you. Egypt is such a beautiful country, I send all my foreign friends there, they never come back. Because they are still stuck in the same goddamn traffic light. Yes, this is where Peter Greste was there, a traffic light. Don't believe everything that you see on the news, a traffic light. But I'm not here today to speak about Dubai or traffic lights in Cairo. We are here to speak about me. As you can see, I'm just too humble and awesome at the same time. After watching that video in the beginning, you must have many questions about what happened to me, the Arab Spring, and to the state of freedom of expression back home. You must have questions about what the hell is happening in the Middle East. If you don't have these questions, well, you're all good. Thank you very much. It was lovely being here. Thank you. But if you do, if you still have those burning questions about what's happening back there, well, I have absolutely no idea. But you paid for your tickets, so we need to fill that time with some bullshit analysis about what's going on. So let's start from the very beginning, okay? So God said, let there be light. I see we have limited time here. So let's fast forward through billions of years of history, or only 6,000 years if you are Ben Carson. By the way, that's the Republican presidential candidate in the United States. If you don't know that, well, you're not ready for the Middle East. By the way, I just want to say something about Ben Carson. Maybe you heard it on the news. Ben Carson once said that he does not trust a Muslim president in the White House. I totally agree. Neither do I. Because, I mean, look at it. Everything that happens in the world is blamed on America, and everything that happens in America is blamed on Muslims. So he's going to be the most miserable American president ever. Plus, he's going to be fingered in every single airport, so that's not right. I used to have this experience, but not anymore. I kind of miss it. Anyway, so let's go back to Egypt. So I come from a regular middle-class Egyptian family. We are two brothers. I'm a doctor. My brother is an engineer. If we had two more brothers, one would be a lawyer and a dentist, this family would be almost Jewish. Years into my medical practice, I was just too disappointed by the medical atmosphere in Egypt that I wanted to get out. I did all my transfer exams in the States till I was finally accepted into a pediatric heart surgery fellowship in Cleveland. To look forward to move to Cleveland can only tell you how desperate I was. Cleveland is like Adelaide without the wine, so. Yeah. They told me this would be funny for some reason, but that's. Thank you, Chaser. Thank you. Thank you for the references I don't fucking understand. Thank you. I don't even drink wine. Thank you. So as I was waiting patiently for the visa papers to go to Cleveland, something happened in the Middle East, the Arab Spring. It started in Tunisia. They had a revolution and they forced their dictator to escape. Egypt followed shortly. Now let me explain one thing. If you thought that we had our own Egyptian revolution because we were inspired by the Tunisians, or that as we as Egyptians wanted to aspire to a new life full of justice and democracy, well, you are mistaken. We basically had our uprising because we were jealous. We looked at Tunisia and told ourselves we will not be upstaged by those little fuckers. Yes, we did it because we were attention whores. And since then, we continued to occupy a huge chunk of international media. We were the drama queens of international politics. There is always something happening. So you see, attention whores, drama queens, the Kardashians had nothing on Egypt. For us, the people holding it up in Tahrir Square during the revolution, it was the purest revolution ever. But for the media in Egypt, that was not a revolution. It was a conspiracy, of course. It was led by Hamas, Iran, Hezbollah, Israel, and America, all together. To see how all those parties conspired together against us, it seemed that our revolution could achieve the impossible. We brought in world peace. According to the media, those people in the square were not revolutionaries. They were all paid operatives. They were there because each and every single one of the millions of people who took to the streets on that day were paid a sum of 50 euros and a dinner box from KFC. This was real news on the television. So yes, we were there for the grease, for a taste of finger-licking freedom. There were stupid claims which many believed. The media were doing a great job brainwashing the masses. If there was one word to describe the state-run media at that time, it would be Fox News. But it's state-run, so basically it's like shit. So yes, Australia, I blame you for Rupert Murdoch, the wonder from down under. After 18 days, our dictator Mubarak stepped down after a brief time in office of 30 years, which is an average lifespan in the lives of Middle Eastern rulers, which equals to the combined terms of 100 Australian prime ministers. So anyways, after those 18 days, we were so naive to think that things can change very easily. The country was full of hope. So I made a YouTube video. I wanted to document the hypocrisy and the deceit of our media. Yes, the same media inspired by Fox News, founded by Rupert Murdoch from Australia. I expected maybe 10,000 views, but in less than 2 months, I had 5 million views, and yet we were not a cooking show. I started to have TV offers, stand-up comedy offers, acting offers, and even strip dancing offers. I wish. Only a few weeks after the revolution, I had a solid TV offer in the same time the visa papers from Cleveland arrived. Remember that? Well, I had to make a choice. Should I pursue my dream to treat the damaged hearts of little children and fulfill my ambition of becoming a great doctor to serve my country?
Or should I choose empty fame and easy money? I mean, come on. So here I am now hosting the first political satire show in the Middle East. After only one season, that little studio didn't cut it out for us anymore. We decided to make it big and take it to a live theater. Again, the first of its kind. We had 40 million people watching us every week. We made fun of people in authority, and we tried to be the watchdogs overlooking the crazy polarized media. We made people laugh, but we made a lot of enemies along the way. You see, we have those taboos of sex, religion, and politics. So if you try to be a stand-up comedian in the Middle East, you're left with around 45 seconds of material. Mostly about hummus. We tried to break those taboos, and we paid dearly for that. Laughing became a luxury, but we tried to deliver our message every time we went on stage. We were up against paid thugs putting our theater under siege as we were trying to put a smile on people's face. People laughed as authority hated us. It didn't matter if we had a religious authority or a military nationalistic one. Theocratic and military authorities share one thing: they have no sense of humor. They will call you a clown, a joke, and a fool. They will try to belittle you, direct their powerful propaganda machine against you. But in the process, they make a fool out of themselves. They are the ones becoming the joke, and they end up turning into clowns. Thank you. Dictators have a secret weapon. That is not much of a secret. Their weapon is fear. Fear, the most primal instinct ever. Well, that and, of course, sex. But dictators prefer fear. Fear wins, fear sells, fear moves the masses. It doesn't matter if you are an Arab manipulated by fear to accept dictatorship that offers you a false sense of security, or an American who would buy into the lies of George W. Bush and Fox News. Depending on the regime in place, we were deemed a threat to religion or a threat to a national security. This was the common narrative where anyone who challenged the deceit and the lies of their propaganda was considered unpatriotic or even a traitor. No one was allowed to say anything different, even if it was just a joke. Fear works, fear wins, fear is the perfect weapon. And now I wish they would have used sex instead. But sarcasm is a perfect remedy to fear. When you laugh, you're not afraid anymore. But they don't want that. They want you scared and afraid. They don't want you laughing or thinking. For some reason, that pisses them off. They piss off all the dictators. Sarcasm is not just fun and games. Sarcasm comes from the Greek word sarkasmus. I'm not making this up, it's true. It means in Greek to flesh, to rend, to dissect. Sarcasm helps through laughter to dissect, through the lies of propaganda, and helps people to cut their way down to the truth. So as you see, I haven't strayed too much away from being a surgeon. I have made my almost Jewish family proud. Looking back to the past few years and what happened in my region, I have no regrets. The scene might look disturbing, and the whole Arab Spring concept might look like it was a failure, a step backward, and an unnecessary disaster. Yes, the dream of democracy and freedom might have died at the feet of fear, extremism, and dictatorship. But in the hearts and minds of young people, there is another revolution happening. More than 70% of our Arab population is younger than the age of 40. That makes me quite old, I'm 41. They cannot be manipulated with the same obsolete propaganda techniques that belongs to the 50s and the 60s. They might come across as helpless, clueless, and unable to make a change. But deep inside, they are rejecting the status quo. They are silently revolting against the same taboos that were deemed untouchable. They are questioning everything. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is off limits. Questioning in itself is the prequel of a revolution. If you come to the Middle East and see the young people yearning for change, you'll see that the revolution might be sleeping but not dead. My show might be off the airwaves, but we see how it inspired millions of young people around the Middle East to make their own contribution. With every video, vine, meme that I see on the internet challenging the hideous propaganda machine and making fun of dictatorship, I feel that my show is still going on, and that gives me hope. It is said that the pen is mightier than the sword, but I would tweak that a little bit and say, well, the joke is mightier than the sword. A revolution is not an event, it's a process. And the process might just start with losing respect towards the same establishments that controlled the generations before us. In my opinion, that is the real revolution. For those who come to me now and tell me, well, hey, the Arab Spring has failed, or the Middle East is not ready for democracy, I just answer back in Michel Payne's words, get stuffed. And if Michel Payne can win the Melbourne Cup, then Egypt can win the freedom of speech, and maybe one day even the chaser would include a woman. So, if you are more confused about the Middle East after this speech, I have succeeded. It is a confusing word out there. Only a fool is certain about what's going on. I wish you all happiness, freedom, and lots of laughter. It is said that the freedom of any people is judged by the volume of their laughter. So my wish for you and humanity is to have the loudest laugh ever. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please thank Bassem Youssef.
Thank you.